Hello, this is Tom with Plan for Your Tomorrow. This is a quick overview of our Orion client portal. If you're a client of ours, you either have or will have access to this portal, and this is just a very quick overview of what you can expect to see there. In order to give you access to this, we're emailing you information about your username and a temporary password in a secure email in order to get you started. So if you haven't received that yet, you can reach out to us and we will forward that information along. The information that we're going to share today may change a little bit over time as we add things to the portal. There may be features that aren't included here, but everything that's in here as of today is kind of briefly captured in this video. I encourage everybody to just dive in and look around at this themselves, so I'm going to move rather quickly through the information today and just give a very brief overview. If you want an in-person demo, just reach out to me and we can get a little bit further into it in that forum. You'll be able to look at detailed information about all of your holdings with us, no matter where they're held, and all in one place. And now I'm just going to show you what you see and how you go about seeing it very briefly. So, as with all of our tools that are digitally delivered, you would access this by going to our website at www.planforyourtomorrow.com, and all you need to do is go up to the upper right and click on the Access button in our toolbar and select Orion Performance Reporting Portal. Once you click on that, you will find that it takes you to a very simple login screen, which looks like this. And from that login screen, you will put in your username and password. Initially, that will be the temporary password we provided. I'm going to encourage everyone to go in and change their password in the admin section of the portal so that you can customize that to something that suits you. You go ahead and click to sign in, and it will take you to a screen that looks like this. This is the default landing page. You'll see it's a fairly straightforward and intuitive layout. At the top there are sort of two navigation toolbars for portfolio information, document information, updates, things like that. And then below that, you will see each of those has its own custom sort of submenu. And I'll kind of walk you through the submenu for each of those. So under portfolio, the submenu is overview, performance, holdings, activity. The first landing page is overview, and you'll see on the left you have a little triangle here that indicates that we're looking at all accounts. You can change that to look at this person has no unmanaged accounts, but in theory you might have a choice of managed or unmanaged. And then you can see individual accounts by clicking on them, and the little triangle indicator moves. So now if you look over at the right, you'll see that all of the information re-renders, saying that we're filtering it to only look at that one account. And again, we can click on other accounts and we'll see that whole thing will change again to show the composition of that one individual account. Or we can go back and reselect all accounts, which is mostly what we're going to use today. And that little triangle will move back and you'll know that you're looking at all accounts. So by default, we start out looking at the asset class view of the accounts. You'll see that that's highlighted in gray in the toolbar in the center panel. And that will be the same across all of the subtabs. The same navigation will apply. Here you can see the percentage that this person has in large cap, in real estate, in other asset classes, international equity, and those correlate to the holding categories that you see below in every single view. You see here's large cap, municipal bond, international equity, the things we were just looking at, and the percentages correlate. So if you click on the green or click on this little arrow here or click on it down below, it expands, and you'll see that you can see the composition of the overall household in the percentage in each of these different underlying assets, which are totaled in the asset class. Again, you can click on it up top and the same thing happens, it expands down below. And you can expand all of these and look at all of the underlying holdings here. There's another place where we can do that, but I just want to show it to you here because you might be looking at it again, for all accounts, you might be curious as to what you hold. The first tab is to enable you to look at in this center display is to enable you to look at the amount of money you have per account and the percentage that each of those underlying accounts is of your overall household with us. So again, you can kind of hover around or expand these and look at the underlying holdings in each individual account. So now we've shifted to looking at the account view rather than the asset class view. And sometimes that's something you're going to want to look at. And then if you look at the asset category view, that is the simpler asset view, which breaks it down into your basic allocation of stocks, bonds, and cash, something that we want to pay attention to. And then of course we looked at the asset class view already, and you can see the major asset classes there. For people that have models, I think this demo account has models, and you can see the different types of investment management approaches that are being used in your accounts and what percentage of your assets are in each of those. And then if you're interested, you can drill down into a sector view that will show the underlying GICS sectors that you hold. In the case of stocks, it would be specific to a sector. This is sort of, I think, mostly a mutual fund client, so they use the mutual fund categories. You can also look at this as of any particular date by changing the as of date up above and clicking refresh. And again, you can do that in all of these views, and when you change that, until you change it back, it will persist. So looking at performance, again, all of the same navigation holds true, except now rather than looking at the asset classes and the holdings as of a particular date, we're now looking at it over a time period. Again, broken down by default by asset class. We are looking at how each asset class that you hold has performed, or how each account that you have has been performed if we flip over the account view, or each asset category by looking at the category view. Again, the same breakdowns that we looked at before. We're now adding asset level strategy where that applies. And again, you can change these dates around and look at different periods. So let's just make this, from the 1st of 2016 through the date that I made this video, and you'll see that the data would adjust to reflect it when I click on this little refresh button. And now the period that we're looking at is the period between the two dates listed above, and then as in every view we retain quarter to date, year to date, and 1 year figures for you to be able to stay on top of your performance. And again, when we change it to the account view, those period numbers stay the same. They reflect the same period. And down below there's a graph that you can toggle to change the chart to show the different periods: period, quarter to date, year to date, 1 year. And then of course this is printable, so when you print it you can have a physical copy of it to look at. And again, each of these, just like in the other other views, are expandable, so you can look at the performance of underlying assets during that time if you had the asset during the reflected time periods. So for example, this total market ETF wasn't held for the entire period, but you can see that during this time it's had some performance. Sometimes the performance data calculates kind of funny in this if you've bought or sold something. So if you see something that doesn't make sense to you, let me know and we'll talk to you about it, or see if there's something weird with the way the data's come in. But here you can see the performance of each of the underlying assets in the accounts, again over period, quarter, year to date, and 1 year periods. Same is true for all of the different ways of looking at it. If you wanted to look at the holdings specifically, we have a tab for that. And again, we have the same basic breakdowns available, and we're back to looking at an as of date. So if you wanted to see your holdings on a particular day, you can just change the date up here, and you'll be looking at the accounts holdings as of that date. So you can see, if your allocation's been changing over time, what sort of effects you've had. If you haven't made any changes, what's happened just from market activity or what kind of changes we might have made. And again, that's reflected in each of these views. So again, looking at the asset class view, we can go in and do the same thing, drill down and look at the underlying holdings, and that's, includes cost basis data where we have it, the price as of that date, and the percentage of, in this case, your overall allocation. Again, this is all as of that date. And then the last thing in this tab that we'll look at in the portfolio tab is activity. Depending on the date we're looking at, there may or may not be activity if we have a change, if we change the date range around. Here you see beginning market value, ending market value, and change. But let's go ahead and change the date and see if we find some activity. This is a demo account, so I'm not sure what activity we'll have in here, but let's just see what we get. Refresh, and there we go. So what we have here basically is contributions and distributions. This is any activity that would have affected your performance basically in the performance calculation. So here's distributions and contributions and distributions. Now again, these accounts are all at LPL, so you're seeing a lot of LPL cash transactions where money has been pulled out of cash or put into cash, and then again, market value increase in this case, or decrease if that was relevant, and then again, market value. So if we just go ahead and click on any individual account, it will filter just for that account. This again is looking at the entire household, and then again, this is printable. Let's just do a quick look at a printout of one of these, maybe performance. So let's go ahead and print this, and we can see what it looks like. I'll just use a PDF thing so it'll show up on screen. Yeah, I think we'll go ahead and do that. Again, if you don't want to do it, you can just cancel it here. I'm going to go ahead and render it, and we'll see what it looks like. So here you can see it's a pretty straightforward report to look at, very concise, and again, easy to read. Just I think pretty handy. So let's look at the Documents tab. In the Documents tab, you can run reports. These reports will change over time. We're going to make more and more reports available for you to run on your own schedule anytime. You can integrate them with a few well-known cloud storage providers. We don't have them all integrated. There's some security concerns about some of them, so these are the ones that we have so far. And you can just set that up by in cloud storage. You just go in and hit connect and put in your credentials for that site, and it will run a report and give you the ability to save it automatically into your cloud storage provider to save it, or you can of course just run the report and save it down to your computer, which is fine. So let's run a report. We'll pick one from over here, and by default some of these reports will only run at the household level, so you see it says run for household. Some of them will actually allow you to run it for a report for a particular account. We'll use the inception date and just kind of quickly generate it, and it would either save to your cloud storage provider or not, or run on your screen. So here's a quick look at the tools. You can just make a quick balance sheet, for example. This is one of the few tools that we've added. We're gonna mess around with adding a couple of different kinds of things here. For example, say we want to do a 401k loan as a particular kind of thing. We'll add a category for that as a qualified loan. This demo account doesn't have any liabilities, so we'll just show how that looks here. So we'll make a category for qualified, and maybe we'll have qualified assets and qualified loans, but we'll make this a retirement plan loan and just call it qualified. Save that. We'll just put a name on it. IRA or qualified. If it's going to be a loan, it would have to be qualified plan, but whatever. Put a value on it. You can kind of call it anything you want. So say it's 100 grand, go ahead and put that on, and boom, now we've got a liability. So you can see assets, liabilities, and net worth. Very simple calculation. We'll add another liability just for the sake of discussion. We'll make it a regular loan, and we'll make that a mortgage loan. So put someone's mortgage on here, and then we'll say it's 100 grand. Make it like 100 grand. Make it $1 million. There we go. And then so you see now we've got it recalculates it and categorizes it. I don't think any of our clients are really going to use this, but it's one of the tools that we've built in. We've got a few more coming, but in case you're interested. We have a tab for updates. This update tab will include tasks that you might want to perform, some advisor commentary. So the checklists and tasks that you might have assigned to you or we might be doing for you would show up on the left. We're going to integrate some news feeds. We haven't done that yet, but we're going to pull some news feeds that might relate to holdings and things like that you have. I haven't really found that to be super important at this stage, but theoretically we could be putting commentary in here as well. And that's pretty much it. So let's go back and look at a couple of other things. In here, our contact information is on most of these pages. If you click on this, it will give you my email. Click on our address. So it'll send an email. Or if you click on our address, it will generate a map to show you where our office is, and you can get driving directions and things like that. I think most people in town would know that, and Columbus would know that, but people out of town might not. Click on website, and it again takes us to the website where you can go ahead and move over and access other tools. So I think that's most everything. Hope that you found that handy. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. And then, of course, I want to give everyone a reminder. Go in and change your password. This is going to look a little different from yours because this knows that I'm me. So yeah, there's some stuff in here that you wouldn't see, but it would look, maybe it'll render as a client. No, I guess not. Okay. But that'll be where you change your password. And again, I recommend that everybody, whenever you're done using it, go up and log out, and it'll take you back here. Again, thank you very much for your time. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Send an email to tom@planforyourtomorrow.com, or give us a call, or find us on our website, www.planforyourtomorrow.com. Thanks very much for sticking with us for the recording, and we look forward to catching up with you soon.